How do we use monetary policy to address macroeconomic issues? So that's going to be what we'll cover. So we will present scenarios, and you will first decide if the scenario relates to the goal of full employment, price stability, or economic growth. Then you will decide whether the scenario calls for increasing monetary growth, decreasing monetary growth, or maintaining the status quo. Finally, you will then identify a specific use of monetary policy tool to achieve your policy goal. So there's a lot of tools that the Bank of Canada uses to increase the money supply. So there's a lot of things that they can do. So they can lower the reserve requirement to expand the money supply. So this frees excess reserves because fewer are needed to back existing deposits in the system. So that means that when they lower the reserve requirement, more money is available to loan out to people. So that will increase the money supply. So they're forced to save less in reserves and they can lend more. So that's a good thing for the economy because there's more money supply that can be created. If they can lend more, then there's gonna be more money created. And then so the Federal Reserve, so the Bank of Canada can raise the reserve requirement and then allows for more reserves required to back existing deposits. So that means that there's less money that they can lend out. So that means that the money supply goes down. So if there's less money they can lend out, the money supply goes down. So if they have to keep more in reserves, that means that they have less to lend out. So the money supply goes down. And then with the open market operations, so if they buy securities, that increases the money supply. So when they buy securities, that means that the Bank of Canada has checks written, that they write checks to add to reserves in the banking system. So that increases the money supply. So if they buy securities, that increases the money supply. If they sell securities, that decreases the money supply. And if they lower the discount rate, lower the interest rate, that means that they increase the money supply. And if they raise the interest rate / discount rate, that reduces the money supply. So I'll state in the chat ways to increase the money supply are through lowering reserve requirement, buying securities / bonds, and lowering the discount / interest rate. And then ways to reduce the money supply are through raising the reserve requirement, selling securities / bonds, and raising the discount / interest rate. Yeah, so those are ways that they can change the money supply. So I'll also take a snapshot of this. It's under slide 3 of the PDF in this week here. So if you want to access it, it's under week 10 and it's monetary policy quizzes right there. So scenario 1, so this is a graph of the unemployment rate in Canada from April of 2020 through April of 2021. Take note of both the trend and the current unemployment rate. So the unemployment rate in Canada is so it fell during that period from 13.7% to 7.5%. So that means that more people are employed like during that period based on that rate. So which economic goal does this data relate to? So full employment. So reducing the unemployment rate that leads to full employment. Yeah. And anyone who just yeah, I think Curtis. Yeah, Curtis. I put the link in the chat if you want to join. So which monetary policy goal do you think is most warranted in this scenario? Yeah, no problem. So I got 2 for increased monetary growth. So yeah, good job. So to bring down unemployment, it's good to increase monetary growth. Mhm. So why did you choose the policy goal you chose? So Ben says more employment means more people are secure and actively contributing to the economy. Yes. Huh, I guess. Fair enough. Christabel, yeah, fair enough. Monica, it helps grow the economy. Yeah, good point. Yeah. So increasing the money supply is good for growing the economy. Mhm. So for this question, imagine everyone agrees we need to increase monetary growth. Which option below would best achieve that goal? Mhm. So lowering the discount rate, yes. So lowering the discount rate would be key to increasing the monetary growth. Yeah, money growth. So this is a graph of the GDP annual growth rate of Germany from January 2018 to January 2021. Make note of the current growth rate and the trend. So as you can see, during the pandemic, the GDP growth went significantly negative in Germany. From so over the whole 2020 period, from March 2020 to the end of 2020, it was extremely negative there. So which economic goal does this data relate to? So economic growth, yes. So which monetary policy goal do you think is most warranted in this scenario? So increased monetary growth, decreased monetary growth. So let's go back to the scenario here. So the data here, I would say if we're so if the economy is shrinking at like let's say negative 2.2%, negative 11.3%, negative 4%, negative 3.7%, I would say that the goal that should happen is increase money growth. If you increase the money supply, it'll solve a lot of this issue, not the whole issue, but it'll solve some of it. So economic growth will go up a significant amount compared to this if we increase the money supply. So getting out of this negative trend here, the increase in the money supply is a good way. Yeah, so it would be increased monetary growth in that case. So why did you choose the policy goal you chose? So if you said decrease the money supply, state why. So, or if you said increase the money supply, state why. Or if you change your mind, feel free to state why. The current increased money supply would stimulate the economy. Yes, exactly. Christabel said, I said decrease to keep currency at its worth and avoid high inflation backlash. That's a fair point. Yeah, so the decreasing the money supply keeps the currency strong. So that's a good point there. So you can have so you can import a lot still. So Christabel says, I said decrease to keep currency at its worth and avoid high inflation backlash. I already said that one. That was good. Monica, it is a way to grow the economy by providing more money. It can help reverse the effects of the pandemic. Yes. And then Ben, I thought it was related to printing money, which I thought isn't great in the long run. That's right. You're right. So Ben's right. In the long run, it's not a good thing to print money. In the short run, it can help. In the short run, printing money can get them out of recession, but in the long run, it has no impact. Yeah, so you're right about that. Long run, money printing has no impact, but short run, it can have an impact. But the impact wears off in the long run. So long run, it's all about productivity growth and technology growth. So like, for example, ChatGPT is a very ChatGPT or any generative AI, that's a very long-term productivity improvement, and that's going to provide long-term economic growth. But printing money is only going to provide short-term economic growth. So things like ChatGPT and automation, that's going to provide long-term growth, but money printing won't. Yeah. So for this question, imagine everyone agrees we need to increase monetary growth. Which option below would best achieve that goal? Mhm. So monetary growth, the best way to do it in this case is buying bonds. So buying bonds and open up market operations, that increases the money supply. So this would increase the money supply here. This would decrease the money supply. This would also decrease the money supply, and this would decrease the money supply. So yeah, in this case, the only one that increase the money supply is buying bonds and open market operations. So the government does this during recessions to bring the economy back short term. But as Ben stated, Ben was correct, long term, this has no impact. So short term, you can bring the economy out of recession, but long term, it has no impact. So this is a graph of the inflation rate in Turkey from April 2020 through April 2021. Make note of the current growth rate and the trend. So as you can see, it's very high. So prices are very unstable. And as some students correctly pointed out, the too much money supply growth can lead to this, and this would be very negative for the economy. And this would make the currency devalue a lot. So you want to avoid inflation like this. That's why our targeted for inflation is 2%, because it keeps prices stable. Prices are still rising, but not too high. These rises in prices would be too unaffordable for people. Like people would not be able to afford anything. And yeah, so that's why we want to keep inflation low, because we don't want to see this level of unaffordability. So which economic goal does this data refer to? Price stability, yes. So which monetary policy goal do you think is the most warranted in the scenario? What can you do to solve this inflation problem? So yeah, decreased monetary growth, I would say, is what I would do. So I would do that because that would bring down inflation, because a lot of the time inflation is caused by too much money supply. So decreasing the money supply may be a good way to get out of it. Also, maintaining the status quo could work. You could also solve this problem by you could also reduce government spending and increase taxes to solve this problem. So this high inflation problem can be solved by reducing the money supply or reducing government spending or increasing taxes or a combination of all of them. So yeah, that could solve the problem. So why did you choose the policy goal you chose? So Curtis said to reduce inflation. Fair enough, yes. Monica, to reduce inflation, yes. Bad economic growth seemed to be increasing, so staying on track would be valid. So that's fair. Yeah. Maybe like that's a fair assessment, because as we talked about, if we just left it on its own, long term, things would balance out. So if we just left it on its own without any intervention, it would balance out automatically long term. It would take time, but it would balance out eventually. And then Christabel, like you said, reduce the amount of money printed to reduce the devaluation of currency. Yes. So higher inflation will devalue the currency. Yeah. So for this question, imagine everyone agrees we need to decrease monetary growth. Which option below would best achieve that goal? So increasing the discount rate will decrease monetary growth. So increasing the discount rate will reduce the money supply. So the budgets, how do you plan to spend your money and how do you know what to pay? So Curtis, make a list of about what your income is over 90 days compared to your expenses over 90 days. Yes. Monica, keep track of what I'm spending versus saving in Excel, and then set up automatic payments for most of my bills. Yes, that's great. That's great. Yeah, so Excel spreadsheet, that's great. Yeah, there's a lot of good templates out there. That's great to hear. And keeping track, that's important. And this is a good application of our fiscal policy work. So when we covered fiscal policy in the previous week, that's the government's budget. So how they spend and how they generate income. So we can apply a lot of those same concepts to our personal budget. So budgets are good when you're getting money from several sources and have different payments needed. They help you determine how much money to spend on certain things. I set up auto payments and use my online bank and keep track of my spending. That's great, Christabel. And also the apps for online banking are very effective. Like they provide good insights on spending. They can provide how much spending you're doing each month, and you can figure out where to cut or like figure out like what things are like if spending is up a certain month. It's I've found it very valuable just to bring down my spending, like just so we can save more money as a family. So that's a good way to the apps can show if you're spending too much a certain month or like on ways to cut back also and showing your spending on entertainment, on food, on shelter, on like transportation, everything else there. That's great. Mhm. So how is your day going? Mhm. Mhm. So yeah, that's good. Three out of the four are happy, one sleepy. Yeah, I'd say I'm a combination of both. That's great. Mhm. So yeah, budget. Yeah, so it's very related to the fiscal policy focus of the course too. So expenditures are money that's spent on goods, services, and bills. Impulse buying is making a purchase based on an immediate want or due to the pressure of advertising. Long-term goals are plans that take a year or more to accomplish. Short-term goals are plans that can be accomplished within 3 months to a year. So needs are survival essentials such as food, water, clothing, and shelter. So what things do you need to buy that satisfy your needs? So like you need water, you need food, you need clothing. So wants are goods or services that make people more comfortable or content, but which are not essential to survival. So wants or need. So yeah, want versus yeah, need. So yeah. So want or need. So yeah, needs. So you need clothing, right? So goal setting, know what you want your money to do for you. Think about goals you can accomplish this year. These are short-term goals. So think about goals that will take more than 1 year to accomplish. These are long-term goals. So maybe you want to save up for like a car, maybe you want to save up for something short term or long term, and you want to save up for it. So you want to figure out how much you can save per month to save up for it and then invest that money. So making choices is hard. So to reach your goals, sometimes you have to make hard choices. No one can have all the things that they want. So choosing how to spend your money now can help you save to meet your future goals. So make sure that you're spending mostly on needs rather than wants so you can save the rest. So think about an item before you purchase it. Ask yourself a few questions. So is it a necessity? Ask yourself, does it sustain me, house me, cover me? Is it a luxury? Ask yourself, can I manage without it? Is essential to meet a goal? So those are very important questions to bring your spending in line with your income and be able to save. So what is a budget? A record of income and expenditures, a plan for managing money, tool to track saving and spending. Mhm. So the amount of money you take home is called your what? So net pay. Yeah, net pay is what you take home. Gross pay is what is before deductions. So there are certain things that are deducted from your pay. So like payroll taxes, so employment insurance is deducted from your pay. Anything you're paying towards benefits, so Canadian pension plan, taxes deducted, all of that would be under gross pay, and then net pay is everything that's subtracted out. So which of the following is generally the most expensive category in the personal budget? So housing, yes, housing is number one. So as you can see, it's 33% housing, 17.5% transportation, 13% food, 11% personal insurance and pensions. Healthcare is 7%, likely due to the our public healthcare. Entertainment is 5%, clothing is 3%. So creating a budget. So you determine your net monthly income, categorize your expenditures, distribute funds to meet needs and obligations, and determine your discretionary income. So money that is spent on goods, services, and bills, what's that called? Expenditures, yes. So opportunity cost is the next best alternative given up when making a financial choice. Scarcity is the economic condition of limited resources that prevents people from having everything they want. So if you look at the average family budget versus teen spending, it's a lot different. So like the biggest expenditure for teens is clothing, and then the biggest expenditure for families is housing. So it's very different. And then like teens spend 18%, second most on food, while for families it's second most transportation. So it's very different because a lot of the reason why is because your when you're a teen, your housing's paid for by parents and so income is the money that is earned as a result of working. So for government, it'd be taxes. So for government, income is taxes, while for us, it's income. So the government makes income through taxes while we make income from working. So it's similar to the government budget, and then earnings is money that you collect. So for government, it's taxes that you collect. So gross income is the amount of money made before deductions are taken out, and then net income is the amount of money made after deductions are taken out. So we get deductions for Canadian pension plan, for employment insurance, for any pension plan we pay through work, for any benefits we pay through work, any taxes they withhold for taxes at the end of the year, so any of that kind of stuff. So as you can see, so gross income here is $39,000, and then social security tax is deduction. Medicare tax is the US, so these are different than Canada. So Medicare tax is deduction, income tax is deducted, and 401k fund, that's the pension plan. So if we translate this to Canadian, so social security is Canadian pension plan. We'll go here, and then Medicare tax would just be so like Medicare tax, we don't actually have a deduction here for Medicare, but let's say it's health insurance through work. So that could be a deduction. Income tax withholding is what they do. So they deduct income tax so you don't have to pay as much at the end of the year. So the employer takes some income tax just to hold, and then they pay that to the government, so you don't have to. So they kind of do it for you. And the 401k fund is Canadian, so that would be your employer pension. So those are some deductions that you would have for your workplace. And then your net income. Your net income is what you take home. So I'll put this in the chat here so you can have access. But yeah, that's a sample net pay calculation. So deduction is money that's taken out of your gross income. Budget is an organized plan for spending and saving money. It's the amount of money you have to spend on expenses for the month. So the government has a budget too. So fiscal policy, the government has a budget per year. So which definition matches gross income? So the amount of money made before deductions are taken out. So that's great. And then net income would be the amount of money made after deductions are taken out. Yeah. So what definition matches net income? So yeah, the amount of money made after deductions are taken out, yes. So which definition matches income? So like I said, for government, income is taxes. So money that's earned as a result of working, yes. So what is a budget? So an organized plan for spending and saving money, yes. So income tax is money paid to the government based on money you earn. Payroll tax is money an employer withholds from an employee's paycheck. So yeah, you're paying income tax to the government, and so you're paying income tax to the government, and that's their income. So the government makes money on your income tax. Property tax is a portion of the value of items that's paid to a city or government. So that's the city or city's income. So the city's income is your property tax. Sales tax is money added to the cost of items or services. So sales tax is the income of the provincial and federal government. So part of their income. So what are property taxes? So a portion of the value of items that is paid to the city or government, yes. So what is sales tax? So money added to the cost of items or services, yes. What is a payroll tax? So money an employer withholds from an employee's paycheck. So what are income taxes? Money paid to the government based on money you earned, yes. So deposits is to put money into your bank account. Withdrawals take money out of your bank account. So saving is money you set aside in case of emergency. Spending is what you pay for goods or services. Donating is when you give money to charity. So deposit is money. Put into your bank account, yes. So withdrawal is money. You can contribute each year towards your retirement. However, once you're retired, the money you withdraw is taxable. So if you withdraw from your RSP, you're taxed. So that's an issue. But with the TFSA, I'll talk about TFSA in a second, but with the RSP, you can contribute 18% of earned income or 25,970. Unused contribution limit carries forward each year. And yeah, so that's how our RSP works. You can contribute up to 18% of earned income or $25,970. You only pay tax if you take out of your RSP. While so yeah, so you're taxed at your current income tax rate for any withdrawals. So that's a problem with with RSPs in this case. But with the TFSA, the benefit of TFSA is that whatever you put into your TFSA is not taxable. So once you withdraw from your TFSA, the government can't tax you. So that's the big benefit of a TFSA. That's why I agree with the person in the video on TFSAs, because if you withdraw from TFSA, it won't be taxed at all. So, and he did the calculations on that, and it showed that the amount of money you would make with a TFSA is a lot more than with an RSP in retirement. So the unlike an RSP, withdrawing from a TFSA does not add to your income, does not affect eligibility for government supplements that depend on your income for the year. So the great thing also with TFSA is you can invest in stocks, exchange traded funds, bonds with it. You can invest in any investment. So you can make more money actually with a TFSA than an RSP if you invest in the right things. So this is on average, that's lower the rate of return than RSPs, but if you have a great investment strategy, like if you follow all the investment strategies that I talked about in this course, then you can outperform RSPs pretty easily. So the maximum contribution room increases each year. So per year, you can contribute more and more. So in 2016, you were able to contribute more than about 5,500, but now it's more than that. So unused contribution room can be carried forward even after withdrawals. So each year, it adds up. So if you were 18 in 2009, you would have a cumulative total of 46,500 that you can contribute to. So the cumulative total of contribution room, it adds up over time. So if you didn't contribute last year, you can contribute that amount in this year's amount. So yeah, it adds up. So the contribution room adds up over time. So you don't lose it. It adds up over time if you haven't used it. So yeah, I recommend make a TFSA for your savings as soon as you can. So I'd recommend going to your bank branch and make a TFSA because the government cannot tax a dollar out of it. Even if you turn the 46,500 you put in your TFSA into $1 trillion, the government can't tax a dollar of it. So the government cannot tax any of it. Even if you grow that to $1 trillion in investing, if your investments do that well, the government cannot tax it. While with RRSP, the government will tax it once you withdraw. So I recommend TFSA 100%. And also the first home savings account operates the same way, but the limit is $40,000 lifetime. So I recommend yeah, so you can open a first home savings account too, and it operates the same way. The government can't tax it either. So that'd be a good option too.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Oh, I'm echoing. So I opened a TFSA like a long time ago, and
Yes.
I've had when I set it up, I had it so that I'm contributing like $25. What was it, like every month or so?
Oh, that's good. That's
As
great.
it's going. So, but the maximum would still be increasing every year, even though I haven't actually reached the maximum limit every year, and that cumulative is still available to me now.
Yes, yes. So if you go to the Canada Revenue Agency portal, like if you do your taxes online through the Canada Revenue Agency, they show you the cumulative total that's still available to you to contribute to. So they add it up for you there, and then you can see how
Okay, so you
much.
just say like when you opened it, basically, or
Yeah,
like
so
they have when you opened it.
the Canada Revenue Agency actually shows you how much room you have left in your TFSA.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you go to if you make an account on this Canadian Revenue Agency website, you can see your unused contribution room.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, I'd recommend each of you to do that and and see how much unused contribution room you have. And it doesn't expire. It'll stay there and you can contribute to it at any time in the future. And it'll just keep adding up because each year there's more room that's added on. So I'd recommend making a TFSA and then asking your bank if you can do an investment TFSA. So there is an investment TFSA that you can use. So you can invest in stocks, exchange traded funds, bonds through your TFSA. And it's the best way to avoid government from taxing your gains. So yeah, I just recommend for that, go to the physical bank branch so you don't make a mistake because Yeah, so I'd recommend just go to your physical bank branch if it's Scotia Bank, if it's Bank of Montreal, if it's CIBC, if it's TD Bank,
And have
if it's
them look at it
RBC.
for me.
Yes, yeah, I'd
Okay.
recommend go in person just so there's no risk. Yeah, it's I do online banking, but I recommend for those types of things do it in person. Yeah. Yeah, I recommend it. Because they're always there for in-person visits because a lot of people like to deal with it in person. So I recommend that. So, scams here. So like I said, like a lot of these online scams, the money that is generated from these online scams is some of the money that is laundered into the reserves for banks. And we'll go through ways to avoid these scams to here. So how might we get scammed online? So state your reasons, like things that could scam us online. Hmm. Hmm. So Monica says text messages from anonymous numbers requesting banking information. Yes. Curtis buying goods that aren't real. Yes. Christabel, fake email tells you to log in and enter your bank details, but the email doesn't come from the official company. Yes, that's very true. Yeah. So how can we avoid online scams? So what signs should we look for in a potential scam? What should we do if we suspect a scammer? What are the possible effects of a scam? So why do banks put adverts out to inform people about a potential scam? So so what signs should we look for in a potential scam? So scenario, Kamar is a fan of trainers and collects them. He has a particularly valuable pair that he's selling online using an auction site. Someone gets into contact with him asking to buy them for much more what he was asking for. So the so let's read the conversation here. So yeah, so in this case, they're buying shoes and yeah, sending payment here. So I'll take a screenshot of this and put this in the chat so you can use it for the next slide. So you read through that and so read through that in the chat. So I take a screenshot, it's in the chat now, and then answer this question. So is there anything unusual about the situation? So yeah, read the screenshot in the chat, and then is there anything unusual about the situation? So we're offering a lot more than asking. Yes, Curtis, excellent. Yeah, if it's too good to be true, it is. So certainly it is. If you think it's too good to be true, it certainly is. Yeah. So be very skeptical of everything out there. So Christabel, the buyer wants the item way too soon and is trying to get the seller to send his shoes first before getting confirmed payment. Yes. He's rushing the process. Yes, Monica, very good points, everyone. So does anything worry about you about the call? So Curtis, too good to be true. Yes. Always be skeptical if it's too good to be true. Yeah. Christabel, the rush speaking like he's trying to get the seller to make the decision before he thinks too long about it. Yes. Yes. It's pressuring him a lot. Yeah. So all these things are, yeah, Monica, that's true. Yeah. All these things are red flags. Yeah. All these are red flags for a scam. Mhm. So what questions might you have about the call? Mhm. Mhm. So Christabel, why is this big name entertainer wanting my secondhand shoes? Yes. I definitely need more information. Check the background. Monica, yes. So how much more is he offering? Yes, Curtis, yes. So yeah, what signs should we look for in a potential scam? So issues with the call. How did they get Kamar's number? Why didn't they need trainers so urgently? Why are they offering much more than the asking price? Why don't they say who the name of the entertainer is? Kamar needs proof the seller is real. Yes. So summary, Kamar gets an email from the bar that says they were going to pay directly instead of on the site. Kamar then receives another email that confirms the payment. It looks like a real email. Kamar was in a hurry but feels something is wrong. He goes back and looks at the messages and sees the email as small and odd mistakes. He does not get the money in his account. So what should Kamar do next? So move on to new buyers, Curtis says. Ask for a deposit of half before sending that goes through. Christabel, excellent. Look for other options, Monica. Yes. Excellent. So let's take 10 minutes. Let's take a 10-minute break and let's get back and then we'll finish this off. So see you in 10 minutes. So let's get back at 5:44. So see you in 2 minutes. So payment to hit the account, Curtis said. So should Kamar send the shoes? Yes or no? So I got two no's. That's great. I agree. I wouldn't send the shoes either. So what were the signs getting the call from the scammer who didn't say who they were? The buyer insisted on paying directly instead of through the site. The email was a fake and wasn't from the real site. The buyer stopped communicating after asking questions. So what could we do if we suspected a scammer? So report the account / phone number. Excellent, Christabel. Yes. So no one else gets scammed. Yeah. Curtis asked more questions. Yes, that's that's very good. To get more information on if it is a scam there. So yeah, things you can do, ask them for more information / proof. Make sure we only use trusted sites for buying / selling / payments. Report them to the site, block their emails / communications. What are the possible effects of being scammed? Curtis, loss of money and personal info. Christabel, losing your items, stolen money. Yes. So yeah, losing money, losing possessions, effect on mental health, loss of trust in online marketplaces, not getting what you thought you were getting. So those are the possible effects of a scam. So yeah, so just